people try to reconcile science and religion, to somehow show that they're compatible. Science is a view that the universe behaves in a predictable and self-consistent manner. It's the effort to increase our understanding of how the universe works, to come up with an explanation and then test that explanation against what we observe. And we change the explanation where we identify behaviour that doesn't match our prediction. Religion is belief in magic. There are no rules, anything goes. There's no point in trying to understand how magic works because there is no how. Whatever happens just does in its own inexplicable way. Once you can describe it, it ceases to be magic and becomes a natural phenomenon. It seems to me that when I see somebody trying to portray the Bible as a science book, their attempts are at best a bit iffy, and most of the time really stretching comparison to a breaking point or beyond. But what I have to ask is this: why bother? If you're someone who believes that God created the universe in 6 days, then why bother trying to reconcile that unscientific explanation with scientific reasoning? If you believe the story of Noah's flood, why bother trying to understand how the animals were gathered together, how they all fit into a small boat, why they didn't eat each other, and how they managed to get distributed back to their original habitats? If it was all done by miracle of God, then the rules of the natural world don't apply. Water to wine, people living inside giant fish, walking on water, non-burning shrubs, people coming back from the dead. None of this makes any sense in the real world. But if you believe in magic, it doesn't have to make sense. So, surely by trying to reconcile their belief in the supernatural with science, which is the study and understanding of the natural, these theists are only confirming the weakness of their argument. After all, we don't see atheist scientists trying to reconcile their scientific theories and understanding with religious scripture and teachings. There simply isn't the need. So I reject this idea that religion and science are compatible. There's no need to reconcile science with religious mythology. Science stands on its own. And that anyone should feel the need to reconcile their religion with science is surely demonstrating an implicit acceptance that science is the superior discipline. Science wins. I get the impression sometimes that when theists start looking at science and their religion and seeing where they agree, that we're supposed to think this is some noble and rational exercise. But I don't see it that way at all. I don't see the effort to marry up science and religion as demonstrating rational thought. What I see are yet more feeble attempts at cherry-picking, distortion and selective interpretation. 100% of the time this is done with hindsight, and 100% of the time it doesn't result in a particularly good fit. This isn't theists being reasonable. There's no scientific rational thought processes at work here. Quite the contrary, what we're seeing is desperation. Desperation to cling on to delusional thinking in spite of lack of supporting evidence, and even evidence to the contrary. A desire to continue believing something where the reason for that belief is nothing more than the believer's wish that it be true. That might be how religion works, but it isn't how science does.